God and country.
Good morning and welcome to another fresh edition of your favorite program on television inside Nigeria. It's the number one breakfast show on television. My name is Winifred Kukumo, and it's my pleasure to host you on today's program. And of course, as usual, on the program we have two segments. The first segment, yeah, that is this segment now. We talk about or we see what papers are saying this Monday. And today is June 26, 2023. The month is gradually winding to a close. And of course, as usual on the program too, we always start off with Nigeria's most influential newspaper, Leadership. Leadership is leading with a story of insecurity. It says insecurity hope rises for northern business with new service chiefs. Insecurity hope rises for northern businesses with new service chiefs. Insecurity hindering revival of region's economy, according to industrialists. How banditry stole 30 billion naira make factories, Zongeru dams in Niger. Insecurity hindering revival of region's economy, industrialists. How banditry stole 30 billion naira make factories, Zungeru dams in Niger. IGP meets police squadron today. As the leading story on leadership today. And 10th National Assembly, Akpabio camp dismisses planned upset in Senate. This is a trending story on Friday. I don't know how true this is, but we are going to be talking about it in the second segment of the program. And then we have labor fears, job losses as discos raise electricity tariffs. Above the masthead of leadership, we have Zenith Bank's Adam wins CFO of the year. Hajj, all 95,000 Nigerian pilgrims to be at Arafat tomorrow. We also have Serap to CBA withdraw regulations on customers' SM handles. Naira importance grown as customs raise exchange rate to 589.45 naira per dollar. Mom kills man accused of blasphemy in Sokoto. That's the leading story on leadership today, Monday, June 26, 2023. We also have a picture story on the cover of leadership. Permanent Secretary of FCT, Olushade Adeshola, Chairman CEO, National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, Brigadier General Buba Mawa, retired. SGF George Akume, Coast Marshal FRSC Dauda Ali Bill, Coast Public Education Officer FRSC BC Kazim, and others during the commissioning of FROSC operational vehicles in Abuja at the weekend. And the leadership, we are looking at the editorial, and that is World Drug Day helping the hooked. World, World Drug Day helping the hooked. We go over to the back page of the paper today, and that is sustaining the momentum of hope. Of course, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's campaign mantra was renewing the hope. And the Monday column is on sustaining the momentum of hope. Just before we go, we have Ghana must go. I would have been in the Titan that exploited Senator Wongo, and Ghana must go. Reply in Onitsha, the river. Funny, isn't it? From leadership, we move over to this day newspaper. This day's leading story today says Yahaya SCOAS Army has put all adversaries in disarray. Yahaya SCOS Army has put all the adversaries in disarray. It's been God's grace, says former military chief. It's been God grace, says former military chief. IG reassures security of lives, property, meets 79 Mopo commanders. PDP is tradition for leading opposition party to nominate minority leaders. We have another one. Sierra Leone ruling party claims president has been re-elected. CBN begins partner to boost financial inclusion drive. That's the story on above the masthead of this day. We also have Zenith Bank's CFO Monta Adam emerges Chief Financial Officer of the Year at the 11th AABNA. That is the leading stories on the cover of this day. And then just before we go, let's see what the editorial is saying today. Yet these days editorial says, wow, it has so many adverts in the paper today. And of course, the same is the same editorial, just like leadership. These days, editorial says for those hooked on drugs, all critical stakeholders should do more to stem drug abuse. For those hooked on drugs, many audacious crimes, including vicious robberies and murders, raiding of banks, prisons, churches, and kidnappings, are said to be aided by drugs. Today is World Drug Day, and that is why leadership and this day have their editorial on drug issue. From this day, we move over to the next paper we have on our menu, and that is Daily Sun. Daily Sun is leading with a story on ISWA Boko Haram in supremacy battle. ISWA Boko Haram in supremacy battle. Of course, the nation has been awash with a resurgence of security issues since the exit of the past administration. And of course, scores key as groups fight for territory control at Lake Chad, Borno. ISWA Boko Haram in supremacy battle. Scores killed as groups fight for territory control at Lake Chad, Borno. Above that, just beneath, beside the masthead, we have aviation unions writing Tinubu, one of industry's collapse. We want 40% IGR deduction from NCAA orders. KYC, bank customers experts oppose CBN's directive on social media handle. Salah, Muslim faithful lament Ram foodstuff prices spike. JAMB 482,356 candidates jostle for 78,578 admission spaces in medicine pharmacy. Kano's release central to peace in southeast Ohanese. Kogi Guba ACF chairman worried over rising violence. IGP to meet mobile commanders promises improved security. These are the leading stories on Daily Sun. And of course, just before we go, let's see what their editorial is saying today. The editorial says suspend the increase in electricity tariff. And of course, the AEDC, Abuja, has replied that no going back on the electricity hike. From Daily Sun, from Daily Sun newspaper, we move over to the next paper we have on our menu, and that is Nigerian Tribune. Nigerian Tribune says Nigeria's public debt rises to 49 trillion naira. Nigeria's public debt rises to 49 trillion naira, increasing suspense over Tinubu's ministerial nominations. Increasing suspense over Tinubu's ministerial nominations. Subsidy removal. Nigerians must reduce wastages, invest more, be innovative, according to survival becoming more difficult for us. Private school laments. Now, above the masthead of daily Nigerian Tribune, we have over 127,000 Nigerian students in UK higher institutions, British High Commissioner. Fluctuations in airfares traced to federal government's unification of dollar markets. From Nigerian Tribune, we move over to the next paper we have on our menu, and that is Vanguard newspaper. Vanguard says forest scarcity persists as CBN resumes intervention. Forest scarcity persists as CBN resumes intervention. Banks ignore CBN's directive on domiciliary accounts. Exchange rates converge around 770 naira per dollar, while we recommended suspension of 23 local government chairmen, Benue Speaker. Butchers stoned to death in Sokoto for blasphemy. Tackle insecurity head-on, Baptist Conference urges service chiefs. Dogara to Tinubu brings subsidy cabal to book. Dogara to Tinubu brings subsidy cabal to book. Illegal mining, Taraba governor suspends activities. UK waiting for Tinubu to name ministers envoy. We are optimistic of improved security, says acting IGP. About the masthead of Vanguard newspaper, we have governor election. Elders Council raises alarm over Kogi's political violence. Zenith Bank's Mukhtar Adam wins CFO of the Year award. Autumn accuses Governor Elia of persecution. Court stops Kano government from further demolition. Subsidy, lack of license, foreign exchange, others hinder fuel importation. From the Vanguard, we move over to the Nation. The Nation is leading with why discos are bent on electricity tariffs increase. The Nation is providing a response to the impending electricity hike by discos. It says why discos are bent on electricity tariffs increase. AEDC fluctuations of naira exchange makes upward review inevitable. For customers within bands B and C with supply hours ranging from 12 to 16 per day, the new base tariff is expected to be 100 naira per kWh. Bands A with 20 hours and above and B 16 to 20 hours will experience comparatively higher tariffs. Dogara Oshoba back petrol subsidy remover, service chiefs. Dogara Oshoba back petrol subsidy remover, service chiefs. Experts optimistic despite foreign reserves drop to $34 billion. Envoy, population of Nigerian students in UK rose by 107,000 in 3 years. Court restrains Kano governor from demolition of buildings. Stories on page 23 of www.thenationonlineng.net. From the Nation newspaper, we move over to our paper, business paper, and that is National Economy. National Economy says to $21 billion investment in Nigeria's upstream oil sector. Dangerous signal. Stakeholders worry as 25 expenditure in upstream sector drops by 74% in 8 years. Say more investments, production needed. That's the leading story on national economy. The paper, another paper on leadership stage today. And just before we go, we'll also look at the other papers, and that is the Punch. The Punch says Naira devaluation pushes up vehicles duties by 40%. Naira devaluation pushes up vehicles duties by 40%. Customs raise exchange rate from 422 naira per dollar to 589 naira per dollar. Operators kick as import duties jump. Economists berate federal government, say policy will cause job loss, impoverish Nigerians, worsen hardships. And of course, we have other stories as well. 452,443 UTME candidates jostle for 78,578 medicine spaces. Police probe Sokoto butcher killing over blasphemy. Clerics warn Muslims not to borrow for Salah ramps. About the masthead of the Punch, we have debt servicing rose to 1.24 trillion naira in first quarter of 2023, according to reports. Discos fail to remit 208 billion naira, says federal government. Lagos Ibadan gridlock traps motorists for hours. For more stories on the Punch, just log on to the website www.punchng.com. And just before we leave the Sun newspaper. We just have to see what the editorial is saying today. Point editorial is on federal government states should stamp out child abuse. Federal government states should stamp out child abuse. For more stories on the point, just log on to the website to see what the papers are saying. So this is where we end today's segment of newspaper headline review this morning. Don't forget we have second segment just coming in. Leading stories with me to handle that. The second segment is Aliu Elias. Don't go away, just stay tuned.
Inside Nigeria, keeping you informed on what matters.
Welcome back. You're just logging in while my guest and I were just having the tete a tete. He's already in the studio, Aliu Elias. Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to have you in the program.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, my Monday guest. My name is Winifred Ngabo, and we are here to discuss some leading stories on today's newspaper reports. And of course, we just have to discuss leadership leading story. Nigeria's most influential newspaper. Of course, on the cover today said insecurity, hope rises for northern businesses with new service chiefs. And of course, Ali, it's something that everyone, every all, both eminent and well-meaning Nigerians have continued to laud the president over the appointment of service chiefs to combat rising terrorism in Nigeria. So first and foremost, what is your take on these new service chiefs?
Right. I think it's a fresh air that we have been expecting. If you
Yes.
recall, during the President Buhari regime, our challenge is that there's no result.
Yes.
So coming in of President Tinubu, it's gladdening and it's refreshing for us to see that he has bring in more new service chiefs. And if you look at these new service chiefs as well, they are also very young. These are the things you need to see.
Okay.
Some of them are young, and most of them are very vibrant. If you look at the chief of defense, chief of army staff, you see that Lagbaja, you see that his experience as very good. In fact, as at now, I doubt if there's anybody that has this
No
capacity in Nigeria army. So he's putting the round as round peg in the round hole. So these are the expectations, and it's glad that we see that, and also it will reflect. Even look at the IG. Remember what the IG said, that he feels like a tiger waiting to support the.
I love the
it's quite
man's attitude.
interesting.
There's nothing like a man with attitude. You
Right.
understand?
So
And that is something that I've just been commending him for. His statements, his utterances, they are well in line, and of course, it
So-
gives hope.
right,
So many
in a
Nigerians who
nutshell,
said that,
this
you know,
has
just before
given
you
us
take me,
confidence, right?
Yes, because within, like for instance, we'll have some appointments, and they will say, "Oh, we know things are not easy now. We just have to join hands together." I call on all well-meaning Nigerians to join hands with me so that we can tackle this insurgency. But he came out, so bold, say, the lion in me, I will tear them. So what? Starting from that,
Most time what I think is that the start is always a good thing, and sustaining it is another thing. But
Yes.
you wouldn't expect less from him because he has been part of this process. He has been part of this security architecture. So we expect him to. If you look at even the outgoing IG said, he has been working with me, and we are working directly together over time. And he has been on them that he have the experience and he know what to do. So it's a bit refreshing. Now, if you also look at other army chiefs, you see that they are actually going to perform well because they are being the challenge and they know what is happening. And another thing that you could see that President Tinubu later named Ribadu as the national security advisor because we know that it's a gap because you can't say you have security advisor and the vacuum for national security advisor. So I think it's a good one. But the thing is, it's also refreshing because if you notice, the Ribadu is a police officer, and we have never seen a police officer occupying that position. No, there are some argument that he has not get to the echelon of his office, but if you remember, is it Dasuki is a colonel, so he must not get to the. So we expect Ribadu to perform. Perhaps if you look at internal security, is expected to be for the police, while the army make sure they cover the territorial integrity of our nation. So I expect it to perform. So we are expecting all of them to work very, very well because you know why? Everything is dependent on what our security. So if we get our security right, things become so perfect.
Yes, I think for a meaningful development to take place in any country, you just have to get the security sector.
Very, very key.
It's very, very key. And now, but up to date,
but I have a bit reservation. It is not a conventional that the president himself will appoint other directors in the military. Do you notice that? After he has appointed the service chiefs, he also go ahead to appoint the commandant, GOC and all those. So he went ahead to. So it was surprising that our president Tinubu, why are you appointing this by yourself? It's supposed to be done by those service chiefs because they will know who is perfect for what and who is. But he went ahead but maybe that is could be also strategic. So, but the essence of all this, what we expect as a Nigerian, let us be secure, let everything move as expected.
Thank you so much. That's what we expect. But now we are still not having peace. What is happening? We read in the plateau that killings have intensified.
If you look at it, we have always emphasized that there should always be combination of kinetic and non-kinetic approach when it's come to security. If you look at history historically, you see that the issue of Plateau State, it's beyond what we see. It's not when Boko Haram arises. The issue has been there. It is ethnic colored crisis. So that need a very good intervention and need a social dialogue among the dwellers of Plateau. If you also look at Kaduna, look at it back to history, historically, you discover that their issue also is not issue of this header farmers crisis or Boko Haram. Over time, there's always problem between the ethnic national.
And of course, so
there is a need for them to come together to resolve a non-kinetic approach. You cannot be carrying a gun and to that kind of place and expect to get solution. It will only get worse because you know why? People always want to. It's like a retribution. People want to retaliate at you kill my people, I also come and kill you. So government need to intervene with a strategic approach.
Okay, with a strategic approach.
Yeah.
But what about the issue of moves planted? Because there was a video that trended that the person, the soldier in question, killed his colleague while he sold the gun to Boko Haram. So we're having issues like that.
You see,
infiltration.
Right. You see,
how do you think they can resolve this?
I don't think.
I think that is just the major thing.
It's only.
We also saw a video of how our soldiers were
compromised.
Yes, that were attacked on their way.
Right.
Were ambushed. Sorry.
Right. To be ambushed, there must be an information. So who is giving this information? And that's why Nigerian police need to go beyond because somebody is actually leaking out the information and the planning of this security.
Yes.
So they must go beyond the kinetic approach. They must find a way to have intelligence because intelligence is key. And that's why I'm happy that they have Ribadu. Such person is not military. They don't believe in attacking. They should also go with intelligence. Who is actually leaking out this thing? And the issue of a military or a policeman selling an arm to a Boko Haram, it should be unheard of. There should be a way to really tame those bad eggs. You can also see that globally when Russia is having the Wagner also decide to change suddenly that they are not supporting Russia to fight a war. So I think there must be intelligence that will show. Perhaps emotional and psychological intelligence examination is also key in this area because you can't have a Nigerian army or Nigerian police and within 3 years you're not checking their psychiatric standard, their
Mm.
emotional intelligence. Because if their emotional is not in tandem with what army or police stand for, they may likely compromise. And the issue is that by the time they show them millions of naira, that we give you this, you give us that, they will be looking at the trade-off.
Yes.
So we must make sure that we educate, sensitize our military and police to not to see those things and compromise that for national integrity.
And also again, if I may add, how much are they also being taken care of? Because they've had situations that from these soldiers who are actually there fighting insurgents that they are not paid well. Even the money that is released for them, they don't. It doesn't get to them.
Well, I beg to disagree to an extent. You know what? If you look at the civil servant or public servant, this Nigerian army seem to get better salary. Right. Well, it may not be as expected as they think, but I think it's not that bad for them to compromise the security architecture of the federation. So there must be an intelligence. It's not bad. If you look at Nigerian economy generally, it's affecting everyone. So it is not only peculiar to them. Perhaps there are other advantages they also so maybe they should bring more incentive and make them to perform better in Nigeria. I think that's just all. Everybody needs a salary adjustment at this point in time.
So with what we just have with the new service chiefs appointment, so we should hope for a safe.
They don't.
A safe
They
economy,
don't.
safe
They
Nigeria.
can't perform less. You know why? If you look at President Muhammad Buhari, he has expended a lot on the military. Please,
Yes.
among all the past presidents, he has not only doubled it, he tripled it, and spent a lot on the military. So the military need to do more, and they have acquired a lot of equipment. To Kano, to Kano. We expect Kano to be deployed. So all this things should be
And
deployed.
it
He has
took a
spent
while
a
before
lot.
this kind of
Exactly, but I must tell you, we must commend the past president for spending a whole lot on Nigeria. And so we don't expect anything less from them.
okay, like the acting IGP says, we are optimistic of improved security. So that is the leading story on this leadership this morning, and of course, it's also the same story on this day. Now we also have the issue of the impending electricity tariff
Well, if you
and
ask
its
me,
impact on the economy.
well, if you ask me, I think it is we are being insensitive because at this point in time, it is wrong to increase electricity tariff because if you look at the totality of the challenges we are having. We have removed fuel subsidy,
Yes.
which Nigeria is still battling to work on. We have also bring naira unification that also bring untoward hardship, and untoward hardship is what really made the electricity to say they want to also increase. So government needs to do more. I think this, when we say subsidy, sometimes we need to look at the kind of subsidy we give. So government need to intervene at this point in time and say, hold on, maybe by next year, because it's going to be a lot of hardship.
Yes, it is.
The fact that if there is enough, if the fuel is affordable now, we can also
we'll be deploying so
manage it.
much part of your
Resources,
income
yes,
for energy.
for energy alone, and that's why we say that we need in a country that does not have energy security is not a serious for subsidy. Now you are increasing the tariff. In fact, we are even paying for energy that we don't see because that's another thing. Because it's not what we see. Because you are charging us is it 100 naira per kilowatt?
Yes,
that's a very huge sum of amount. So you want to throw Nigeria into more darkness. And on a lighter note, where is even the electricity? That's the challenge because you can only be the city center and be seeing electricity. And another thing is that they should also look at the multiplying and ripple effect of such thing on businesses. We are looking for to increase our GDP,
Yes.
and at this point in time, you are also reducing reducing what people are using to get this GDP. So MSME will now have to close shop. That's the meaning. You cannot afford to buy fuel. You can also not afford to pay for electricity. They are simply telling you that you should close shop. So government should look at that so as to have a better GDP. And that's why we are saying that this government must be caution in the fact that how can you be having this kind of reform pari passu in a short period? It's going to affect every strata, every economy, and every citizen of Nigeria. So I think they should look at that, and there is no alternative yet. That's the problem. So there should be always the cushioning of the fare. I expect by now we start seeing buses all over the country that will be conveying people. I expect by now they should have completed some processes. I expect by now they should be inviting me and giving me incentive to come and convert my car from fuel, PMS to CNG, but we are not seeing that. So I think it's slow. So in as much as you are quick to implement, you should be quick to also provide a solution that will push in the effect.
Thank you so much. Now, me, my take is this: is it that the president says, "Oh, let's just have a free floating, just as a float in naira, and we are not going to have a government," because the situation whereby the electricity discos we choose, this inopportune time, at a time like this, that they want to increase tariff, and there's no going back, and there seems to be no input from the federal government.
Well, my fear
Since
is
the federal government is just leaving
my
it.
fear. Do you know my greatest fear? My greatest fear is that now that naira is being floated, does it mean that there is no regulation on price? Consumers are going to bear the brunt of it.
One begins to ask, that's what I was just asking you, where is government in all this? Is it that the government is just going to keep mute and allow market forces to just be on its own?
And this is what I said always. It's like our government are sleeping. Why they want to the citizen to suffer every brunt? What are they actually doing for us? As citizen, you have increased the PMS. As citizen, you have float naira unification. As citizen, on July 1st, we are made to know that there is going to be increase in electricity. So what is government actually doing for the citizen? Have they tried and reflect on how to reduce their own salaries and wages? Are they also sacrifice a lot of things that they're supposed to sacrifice?
Exactly.
Are they also thinking how to develop our Nigerian economy? Are they also thinking of how to develop our infrastructure and economic infrastructure? These are the things that, because you can't just take everything and not giving anything to citizens. It's very, very pathetic. And that's why we must also be watchful and be challenging the present government to also deliver. Because they don't have excuse now. Now they have much money. They have more money, so to speak. Now Nigerian government have more money. You can tell, because we say according to them, in a month they are paying 400 billion naira for fuel subsidy. Now that is off. So what are you doing to really pushing the effect? So it must be a trade-off. What are you giving the citizen? And also, citizens that are paying tax are thinking, we are paying tax every now and then. What is as it reflect on the well-being of citizens? So these are the things. So we are looking at them, how do we increase our health, how do we increase our education, our social infrastructure, road, and a lot of things that we need to.
Okay, thank you so much. Now, people are already skeptical about this federal government policy that it will cause job loss, impoverish Nigerians, worsen hardship. I'm still on this issue of naira floating or floating naira. What should the federal government? Is federal government supposed to be looking at far-reaching solutions to caution it?
Well, for me, as an economist, I find it difficult to agree with them that they should float on the naira, because you know what? There are some services that are essential. Those services that are essential, that you don't subject them to naira unification. So once you subject them to naira unification, it gives us a problem. It brings on toward hardship. For instance, some things are maybe health. The people that want to go for health and challenges, you don't subject them to this unification of naira. There's also some manufacturers that when they are bringing all their goods, before they get at 450 official naira, and by the time they get at 450, it also translates to how much they will sell it to. So now that they are getting at 750 or so, what do you expect? So Nigeria are going to be subject to more poverty. We said we have multidimensional poverty of about 1.3%. 1.3 million Nigerians. So we should be expecting addition to it, because it's called multi-dimension. So if people cannot even get the basic, I must tell you there's serious hardship in Nigeria now. Even look at Salah coming. I saw one of the newspaper talking about Salah, and that paper said people cannot even not that the RAM has increases, but there is no money to buy the RAM itself. Not that food item has also increased like that, but people cannot even afford to purchase. Also, our purchasing power has been eroded by removal of fuel subsidy, unification of naira, and now the expected increment in the price of electricity. So if you look at that, our purchasing power has been eroded, and we don't have purchasing power. So government must come and do something. And like I said, the low hanging fruit that we expect federal government to do, provide a mass transit bus for people as quick as possible. It's very, very key. Look at your short-term solution, medium-term solution, and long-term solution. Bring it and let us see, so that by the time the NLC, TUC come together, we see that yes, Nigeria is hopeful that next 1 month there will be buses. Next 5 months, the Dangote refinery and Nigeria refinery will be working. You know, the next 1 year, about 30% of the Nigerian vehicle would have converted to CNG. So it should give us a template that we can follow, so that we have, because Nigeria love hope, and without hope, in fact, you know, even federal government itself know that it's like it's a time bomb that must be tamed. People may revolt if this well-being is get worse. At least people cannot get 3 square meal again. At least the one they are getting, let them, at least if it's one, let them know we are getting one. Not that we will not get at all is will be bad.
All right, thank you so much. What hope? Now we are looking at this trending story, but I don't know how far how true it is, that Akpabio camp dismisses planned upset in Senate. Of course, I saw the story about a few days ago that the camp that is not so happy with the turnout of the leadership position in NAS. It was actually they are trying to about 22 or so to defect to the opposition party to upset.
Well, it
And
is
for it to be more woes for it will create issues for the Senate president.
I think
What's your
it's just a situation for them to create. You know, these 45 people that supported the hearing,
Yes,
they also want a juicy
appointment.
appointment. Yes, committees.
Committee.
So this is just like they are using that threat to
Mm.
get what they want. It's not that they actually want to go, but you know, Nigeria, you must also tell them that we are also capable of doing some things
And you know,
to
many people are
improve. So that's just what they are doing. So it's a trade-off that if you don't give us expected appointment, or you want to relegate us because we did not vote for you, we also have the capacity to start the
so many people
process.
are of the
So
opinion that the people they are reading ethnic people are already reading that during President Muhammad Buhari's time nothing like this, but they just want to, in other words, when they get the majority, impeach Akpabio, and of course be a problem to President Tinubu.
well, it is. I think Akpabio and President Tinubu have to be careful, because you will recall that the last time during Obasanjo era, there was something that played like this: about 5% becomes Senate president.
Yes, during
So
Obasanjo
it may be again that okay, let's just look at him for 3 months. We come together, we impeach him, another
Yes.
person becomes the Senate president. It's a game that should be expected, because you know it's politics, and politicking bring a lot of strategy. So it could be a strategy, but the only thing he can also do is that to give them a committee appointment. So he also is also a strategy. You know, he's well experienced. He has
Because
managed
even
in
another
states
paper-
that have state house
Even another
assembly.
paper also captured it.
so-
Minority Senate leadership, beware of banana peel, Aliero Tambuwa, others want Akpabio.
Well,
In other words, Akpabio.
if you look at this Alero and
It's
Tamwa, which
not,
party are they coming from? These are the thing. They are PDP. So if you look at this PDP too, you know, they also want to have their, you know, they also voted for Akpabio.
Yes.
So before they vote, because I recall during the Tajudeen era, justly for this position, there's always a meeting after meetings whereby a group will come and say, "Okay, we are going to support you, but we are going to get so and so in exchange." But you know that this is politics. After he has assumed his office, things might change, because the party may now come as APC. That APC is the one taking the lead, not Akpabio. You know, and decided. So it is expected, but I expect him as an experienced lawmaker, experienced governor, to bring all of them together. Because if there's no stability in that house, it will also affect President Tinubu.
Exactly.
It will affect him in some of his. You know, you remember that we must commend. I think Buhari learned his lesson in the first tenure
Yes, the first
and
2020.
take correction. You can see that in the second tenure, even he gets ways and means loan without any query, any
Without
challenge.
anybody. Of
So,
course, he
Tinubu
borrowed
must do
and
more.
borrowed money to
So Tinubu must do
trillions.
more to really have a stable national. But he's a politician. You know, Tinubu is very strategic, and it has that, and perhaps you also have chief of staff
Mm.
that have a lot of experience in
Yes.
legislative processes, and
Yes.
that even a
Yes.
speaker at that
Yes.
level.
Mm.
So I expect them to balance it, but they must balance it. Minority must also always have their say, while the majority have their way, and they have had their way now to become a senate president. They should also consider the minority for some things, but
Because
whoever lead the minority is a factor too.
the Yari that he contested against obviously didn't take it. It was not in good faith because he had even alleged on the national television that he was betrayed by some of those that were supporting him. That prior to that day, the previous day, he had about 45 senators with him. So what
Well,
happened?
like I said, it's a game,
He had
and,
about
and it
70
is
something.
expected. Remember that what APC is bringing is very, very huge. That I was convinced then that it will be difficult for PDP. If you look at chairman of APC, the senator, the wife of Tinubu, a senator, Tinubu himself, senator, you know, Akpabio, former senator, so Barao, experienced ranking senator. So for you to defeat them, it will be pretty difficult. If I thought some PDP and some other party also align with them, and perhaps you know south issue, southeast issue, all those issues also came to play. So it's beyond what PDP are saying, because these people are also very, very strategic. I was even expecting, look at what happened at House of Rep. There was no shake at all, at
No,
all.
there were not. And it was
And they
even
have more number.
It was even an open
Open.
ballot.
I even
Open
saw.
ballot.
I watched with this new party, Labour Party, came up and said we are supporting you know,
Yes,
the APC.
Abbas.
Remember, as I was wondering, I said must have done their homework very, very well. And I'm not even sure that our
It was
senator
an
came
open.
up.
It
So
was an open ballot.
so it
And
was
of course, I had a Labour Party candidate when he was asked who he was voting for. He said, "Though my heart is with Wase, but my vote goes to."
imagine that kind of
Abbas.
thing. That's a
Everybody
political
laughed. It was
statement.
so funny.
That's
And
a
of course, the
political
guy said,
statement.
"No, let's be. Who are you voting for?" And of course, so what are you saying? So Akpabio has nothing to fear, or
For me, I don't think they have anything to say, because Yari also will not want to trade off. Yari is not ready to leave APC. It's when they are ready to leave APC that there will
but
be
he's
fear.
not so happy with the outcome of the election.
No,
Obviously.
they will compensate him. His politics.
Like a paper carried it that
They will trust
having
President Tinubu.
treatment abroad over his defeat.
You know why? The fact remains that there are a lot of positions now opening. You know, board member, ministers, DG. So it's just an invitation from President Tinubu that, well, Yari, because of your challenges and because of what happens, I give you 2 DG, I give you this, I give you this. It's a trade-off. And once he gets it, you know, he has nothing to complain about. So, and there's enough.
It's high time we stop
now.
taking all these board positions as a reward system, because things have to work.
But are you now saying that board member is not a reward system? It's a reward.
Yes, but they should.
So what's their role?
Just like what
they are not the
we just
executives.
pointed out, they should put round pegs in the front, because we've had a situation whereby most of these board members, if not chairman, how they take advantage of the situation. They, contrast these, and that they also contribute to the bulky governance.
Well, until we have representative government, you know what I mean by representative government?
No.
Now that we have APC as the winner, so if APC generally by percentage wins 60% of the Nigerian election, and PDP won 30%, Labour win 20%, let's it be representative as government. So like that's the mean in executive. Since Tinubu has 60%, he will take care of 60%. PDP that came second should also have their 20% representative leadership. That is when Nigeria will be ready for governance, because all other parties will also want to perform, and Nigeria will see that to know what to do. That's what we expect. Until that time comes, it will become a reward system, and it won't bring professionalism at all. Because imagine if Labour Party have 10% representation in this governance. Imagine the kind of persons they want to bring that will perform very well. That Nigeria will say, these people perform very well. Because of that, let's vote them. And APC also will be challenged that no, they must not defeat us in terms of performance. We must also do, until we have that kind of challenging system. I doubt if we can stop this compensation syndrome in Nigeria.
Well, viewers, we've just heard from the mouth of the political economist, Aliu Elias. It's always a pleasure to have you on the program.
Thank you.
And this is where we end today's breakfast show inside Nigeria on Leadership Television. My name is Winnie Freddy Gobon. Until I come your way again, same time, same station tomorrow. Take care. You just take care. Bye.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.